much, Mr. Ramirez. Professor Weissman.
Good morning, Chairwoman Lofgren, Ranking Member King, Chairman Nadler, and members of the subcommittees. My name is Deborah Weissman, and I'm a professor at the University of North Carolina School of Law, and I'm a co-author of a report entitled The Policies and Politics of Local Immigration Enforcement Laws. The report focused on implementation of the 287G program in North Carolina and the impact on our communities when local law enforcement agencies undertake immigration enforcement duties, and I thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. In North Carolina, several communities that are participating in the 287G program have histories of racial violence and traditions of white supremacy, which often contribute to an environment hostile to the local Latino community. 287G, whether it operates in the field or in a jail, is not a program that can be simply handed off to localities without consideration of history and context. It's a program that often serves to reinforce local practices of racism and racial bigotry. In North Carolina, some local elected officials, including those who have signed on or supported 287G agreements, have publicly expressed views that have denigrated immigrants regardless of their status based on racist stereotypes and baseless assumptions. Let me provide some examples. Shortly after signing on to 287G, Sheriff Terry Johnson of Alamance County made brazenly racist claims about Mexicans, stating, "Their values are a lot different, their morals, than what we have here," Johnson said. "In Mexico, there's nothing wrong with having sex with a 12 or 13-year-old girl." Before the 2004 presidential election, the same Sheriff Johnson threatened to go door to door to investigate the immigration status of registered voters with Hispanic last names, a scare tactic not new to African Americans in our state. Consider the comments of Johnson County Sheriff Steve Bizzell. Bizzell was a member and then president of the North Carolina Sheriff's Association in 2007, the same year that the association issued a resolution referring to undocumented immigrants as illegal alien invaders. Bizzell stated that Latinos are breeding like rabbits and that they rape, rob, and murder American citizens. He called Mexicans trashy. He reminisced about the Johnston County of his youth when immigrants were all in a group down a path somewhere in a camp, even though he admitted that living that way was bad for them as human beings. Through 287G agreements, deputies and officers across the state who may be led by Sheriff Johnson or influenced by Sheriff Bizzell have the resources and virtually unfettered authority to act on a discriminatory sentiment that they've espoused. Such a situation cultivates the illegal activity of racial profiling. Just last month, hate groups were invited to join in the battle over whether counties should sign on to 287G, and this was not the first time that hate groups have been implicated in North Carolina's response to the increasing rates of Latino immigrants. History demonstrates that there's a very thin line dividing anti-immigrant laws from those that diminish the civil rights and due process protections of citizens, and I'd like to share two stories today. The first, Paul Quadros, a professor in the School of Journalism at UNC and a U.S. citizen. He describes being pulled over on his way to a soccer game with his friend Francisco in Chatham County, where there's currently contentious debate about whether to sign on to 287G. He says, "I knew instantly what was going to happen. We were two Hispanic men in dark sunglasses on a slow Sunday afternoon. After asking for my license and registration and keeping me and Francisco waiting for what seemed an unusually long time to check my information, the officer told me why he had stopped me. He said my license plate monthly sticker had faded. The year was fine, new in fact, but the month was hard to see. He just wanted to let me know that. He knew exactly what he wanted me to know." Professor Quadros says, "If you've never been racially profiled, then you don't know how much control it takes to restrain your anger over the violation of your civil liberties." Another example is that of a woman I will call E, a naturalized U.S. citizen who complained to her employer in Alamance County of significant mistreatment and discrimination at work. He told her she was crazy to think that she would have any recourse, and because she was an immigrant, she should stop complaining. He referred to the passage of 287G as an indication of her lesser and vulnerable status. And this is not the only example of immigrants whose legal rights are blunted because of this program. One major concern is the impact that this program is having on victims of domestic violence and other crime victims who are terrified to call the police for protection, seek assistance, and aid in law enforcement efforts. These are just a few of the examples that indicate the rippling effect of 287G in the community. Given the local cultural practices and histories that mediate the implementation of what remains federal law and standards, we need a moratorium on this program until there can be an assessment and until greater safeguards, oversight, and accountability can be provided. Thank you.
Thank you very much,